No one volunteered for crush training. It wasn't punishment exactly. It was worse. A test designed to remind fresh recruits that the intergalactic coalition didn't coddle weakness. That gravity was a silent executioner. That war wasn't fair. And on Fortress Rithkar, it was tradition to throw the newest species into the pit. That week, it was humanity's turn. The training officer, a 4-meter tall ironblood called Jorvak, stood at the edge of the pressure chamber with his claws folded and fangs showing. A smirk in his species, though it looked like murder to everyone else. Private Keenan Rourke, Jorvak said in perfect Terran standard. You're our first human. Lucky me, Rourke said, adjusting the weight harness on his spine. You will undergo physical readiness trial under twice standard gravity. You may opt out. Rourke didn't blink. Make it 3. Silence. One of the Zarnak scribes paused mid-keystroke. A few recruits from other species turned to stare. One, a Telvanni with 7 knees, let out a high-pitched chirp of disbelief. Jorvak stepped forward. You do not understand what you request. I do, Rourke said. It will crush your lungs. Snap your bones, your kind are soft. Then make sure the medic's fast. They activated the chamber. 3G, the floor pulsed. The air thickened. Metal groaned, and Rourke stood. Not easily, not gracefully, but he stood. Every muscle trembling, but his eyes locked forward, teeth gritted, heart pounding like a war drum. Jorvak leaned toward the comm. Begin first task. Task 1. Walk 10 meters. Simple, on paper. But at 3G, every step was a war. Every heartbeat felt like a thunderclap. Bones protested. Skin stretched tight over muscle. Even his eyelids felt heavy. But he walked. Left, right, left, 10 meters. A Zarnak cadet whispered. It should have torn his calves by now. Humans aren't built for this, another hissed. Rourke reached the wall, turned. Task 2, climb the incline. It was a 45-degree ramp, a short one. Under normal gravity, a jog now. It was a mountain. He dropped to his hands, gripped the texture lines in the panel, pulled. The room watched as his arms bulged. Blood vessels in his neck pushed out like roots under skin. One hand slipped. He grunted but didn't fall. He roared and dragged himself up the incline. 10 minutes, no rest. He reached the top, collapsed for 2 seconds, then rose again. Jorvak pressed the comm. Private Rourke, you may stop. Rourke spat blood into the drainage grate. That all you got? Why are you doing this? Jorvak asked. Because I know what this is, Rourke growled. This isn't a test of strength, it's a message. You wanted a reason to say, humans can't hack it. So here I am. Hacking it? Behind the glass, Jorvak's third heart beat faster. Rourke had been born on Earth's southern range, high-gravity zone due to subterranean anomalies. He ran uphill barefoot as a kid, worked steel towers without mag boots, played games in sandstorms. 3G wasn't comfort, but it wasn't new. And now, every alien recruit watched him move like a nightmare from their physiology training. Task 3. Combat Form Katas Level 2. At 3G. Madness, Rourke began, slow, precise. His bones shook, but the forms flowed. The Etherian tactician in observation leaned to her colleague. Why hasn't he collapsed? Because he's human, the other replied grimly. They don't evolve like us. They don't adapt, they defy. 40 minutes in, Rourke's hands bled, skin peeled from his palms. Every motion left pieces of him behind, but he kept moving. Jorvak finally hit the override. Gravity dropped to normal. The silence was deafening. Rourke fell to his knees, not from pain, from rage. Why'd you stop it? He rasped. Because you made your point, Jorvak said. I wasn't done, Rourke snapped. Later that night, the scribes updated the record. Under species notes for Homo sapiens, they added a new line. Under strain, they do not adapt like others. They become something else, something worse. Rourke sat on his bunk, every bone screaming, every joint swollen. The Zarnak who shared the dorm gave him a wide berth. Why? The alien asked, not unkindly. You could have died. Rourke wiped a trail of dried blood from his lip and chuckled. Yeah, but imagine the headline. What headline? They tried to break a human. Now they're scared we asked for more. Commander Yilrex was a strategic mind. a veteran of 3 void wars, decorated, calculating, cold. He didn't believe in death world or hype. He believed in numbers, muscle fatigue ratios, reaction time charts, pulmonary collapse thresholds, and by those metrics, humans were average, durable yes, but reckless, too emotional. Weak joints, susceptible to stress toxins, laughable regenerative capabilities. He'd seen the report on Rourke's 3G trial. He wasn't impressed. It was a stunt, Ulrich said. He's not special, he's desperate. So when his wargaming unit was assigned a human for live combat simulation, he handpicked Rourke to prove a point. The scenario, a 48-hour endurance assault under simulated siege conditions. No rest, no med-stims. Simulated wounds would trigger nerve feedback. Team Bravo, 12 coalition elites. Team Alpha, 1 human. Ulrich stood behind the sim glass. Let's watch the myth bleed. Hour 2, Rourke took a shoulder hit. Nerve fire, screaming feedback. He swore, rolled into cover, and kept firing. Hour 6. Heat simulations rose. Sweat poured down his armor like rain. His targeting didn't drop by even 0.2%. One Telvanni tactician watching whispered, "He's pacing himself like he's been here before." Hour 12. Ulrich's team started dropping, falling out, collapsing. The med drone yanked one out for near stroke. Rourke didn't stop, didn't even blink. He used their gear, dragged it into his trench, duct-taped it to his body. Hour 18. They finally breached his wall. He let them. And when they rushed him thinking he'd lost, he stood, covered in mud, blood, scorch marks across his jaw. He grinned. "Glad you came." Then moved like gravity owed him favors. He took 3 of them down in under 4 seconds, broke a 4th's collarbone with a backhand, snapped the 5th's weapon in half and shoved him out the hatch. Sim glass logged it all. Hour 22, he lost consciousness, standing up. Heart rate plummeted, oxygen saturation fell. Med teams ran to intervene, but the moment they touched him, he woke up swinging, eyes open. No panic, no confusion, just instinct. "Still in it?" a medic asked. "Until it's done," Rourke muttered, wiping blood from his nose. Hour 26, Ulrich called for termination of the exercise. Rourke kept going. Hour 28, one of the Zarnak strategists whispered, "Why is he still moving? Their species can't last this long." A Grenta field analyst replied grimly, "Because pain means stop for us. But for humans, pain means try harder." Hour 31, Rourke could barely see, left eye swelling, lungs heaving. He fashioned a support brace from broken armor plating, dragged himself across the mock battlefield, tore the flag from Team Bravo's HQ, then planted it in the mud, and collapsed on top of it. Ulrich stared through the glass. Everyone was silent. One medic whispered, "Was this what you wanted to see, Commander?" "No," Ulrich muttered. "This was what I was afraid we'd see." They ran full diagnostics. Spine microfractures, 3 blood loss, 19% muscle fiber tearing, 64% morale impact on other species. Incalculable. Coalition Command issued a quiet order. No further human simulations without oversight. No solo endurance trials without dual confirmation. No combat tests beyond 2.5 G without neural dampeners. Unofficial translation. Stop daring them. Rourke was given a 72-hour medical leave. He refused 48 of them. When asked why, he grinned. "Every second I rest, you forget what I can do." The story spread. Faster than official files. Faster than any weapon. It wasn't just that a human survived. It's that he smiled through it and said, "Make it 3. Grav Lab Theta 9 was designed for species with exoskeletal redundancy, creatures who treated 3G like a mild inconvenience. Humans were not supposed to be in that room unsupervised, especially not when the AI stabilizer failed." Rourke had volunteered for a reaction time test. Standard reflex drills under moderate strain, nothing serious. The ceiling clamps held a 3-ton calibration module above the testing circle. Grav Field was calibrated to 2.0 for training, and then the system spiked. From 2.0 to 5.1 G in under 6 seconds. Screams echoed through the comms from the lab deck. Abort! Pull the grav plates offline. He's still inside. Surveillance footage would later be dissected frame by over 50 species. Not for science, but to understand fear. First, the lights flickered, then a high-pitched hum as the plates beneath Rourke lit red, pressure wave, atmosphere drop, sensors snapped into the red zone. At 5.1 G, bones should have shattered. Organs rupture. Consciousness lost in 4.3 seconds. Rourke didn't fall. His knees buckled, but he caught himself, one fist slamming to the floor. His armor groaned. Skin began to tear beneath the weight. He rose, by inches. And then again. He's lifting his head, a Zarnak technician said, voice trembling. He's looking at the ceiling. The 3-ton module above him cracked a safety weld. If it fell, it would erase him, but Rourke didn't flinch. He locked eyes with the drone camera and smiled, a sick, tired, unholy grin. Is that all you got? Someone screamed in the control room. Cut the power. He's not gonna make it. Inside the chamber, Rourke pushed off the ground with both palms. Blood pooled beneath his knees, but he stood. 5.1. Gravity is invisible, but on the footage you could see it, the tremble of air around him, the sweat raining off his jaw in slow, vertical trails, the cracks forming under his boots, and still he stood. Power cut finally reached the main relay. Grav field collapsed. The module above slammed back into its brace. Lights returned, doors unsealed, medbots poured in. Rourke didn't move, he was upright, eyes glassy, pulse low, but breathing, barely. As the bots approached, he whispered. Didn't say make it 5. Said make it 3. They sedated him, took 8 doses. Aftermath. 137 bone microfractures, rib strain on both sides, tendon trauma in 9 zones, internal bleeding. Moderate spinal compression, minimal. That last one scared them, because it meant he adapted mid-collapse, shifted weight to preserve his spine instinctively, as if his body had done this before, as if Earth prepared him for impossible weight. Statement from Coalition Emergency Review Board. Humans require biomechanical oversight in high-stress environments. They are too likely to engage suicidal thresholds out of sheer stubbornness. Unofficial translation. We can't stop them, we can only hope the walls hold. Jorvik visited the medbay, found Rourke bruised, stitched, and halfway through a protein brick. They say you should have died. Yeah, I heard that too. Why didn't you? Rourke shrugged. Because I had to prove them wrong. Jorvik paused. Who? Rourke leaned back, closed his eyes. Everyone who ever looked at a human and thought we'd fall down and stay down. Footage leaked. Of course it did, clipped, edited, reshared. Millions of views across Coalition NetSpace. Captioned simply, Gravity, 5.1 human, 1 and below it, his quote, make it 3. But those who knew the whole story, they didn't laugh, they studied. Because the question now wasn't how the human survived. It was, what happens if he ever asks for 4? They didn't want him on the front lines. Too visible, too risky. If he died, morale would crater. If he lived, he'd become legend. Neither outcome was controllable. Command kept him grounded, security liaison class II, which meant paperwork, and watching others go fight, but war didn't wait for forms. The Drixel Scourge hit the Orion lattice ahead of schedule, breached the 3rd relay belt, tore through 2 squadrons like mist. The main base at Haldron's Fold, Coalition Bastion Delta, was next. It fell in hours. Only 1 outpost remained between the Scourge and 10 unarmed colonies. Outpost Leven 6, manned by 43 soldiers and 1 human desk officer. Rourke wasn't meant to be there. He was in transit, wrong place, wrong time. Or maybe exactly right. The outpost alarms triggered, barricades locked. Drixel tunneling spores breached the east wall. Panic, chaos, officers screaming. 1 Zarnak captain vaporized mid-command. The remaining troops were pinned in the comm hall, short on ammo. No evac window. Scourge drones breaching through the floor. They'd never fought the Drixel in melee. They weren't built for it. He was. Rourke ripped the comm station console from its mount and used it as a shield. tore wiring from the ceiling, and wrapped it around his forearms like combat wraps. Gravity inside the collapsing structure surged to 2.2 due to core instability. He smiled. Finally, he charged. No orders, no backup, just war. The first Drixel warrior met him head-on, 6 limbs, armored shell, acidic breath. Rourke leapt under its swing, jammed the comm shield through its thorax, and punched through its eye cluster. The second came from the ceiling. He yanked loose conduit from the wall and lassoed its neck, slamming it into the reactor housing. Third and fourth came together. He broke one's mandibles with his elbow and used its corpse as a bludgeon to crush the other. Every security cam caught it, a single human tearing through what was supposed to be a mass extinction vector. The soldiers in the comm hall watched the feed in stunned silence. Someone whispered, "Is he even real?" Another replied, "No, he's human." The Scourge adapted, sent heavies, spiked gravity again, 3.1, then 4.0. Rourke moved slower, but he kept moving, every step an act of defiance, every breath forced out through blood-coated teeth. He reached the power junction room. 10 Drixel waited. He didn't stop. Footage cuts out there. The backup recording only kicks in 3 minutes later. The room is full of corpses, and Rourke stands in the center, shaking, bleeding, but upright, holding a cracked pipe in one hand and a Drixel heart in the other. Evac finally arrived. Late. Standard sweep teams expected mass casualties. They found Rourke sitting on the rubble, chewing what looked like a protein bar but turned out to be part of his own shredded ration pouch. He stood saluted. Outposts clear. Everyone inside still breathing. The Coalition tried to bury the footage. Didn't matter. The troops uploaded it. Silently, every soldier across 3 sectors saw it. And suddenly, the old lines between species, strength, and politics started to crack. Because the Drixel weren't stopped by plasma barrages, or orbital fire, or elite squadrons. They were stopped by a man with broken ribs and nothing left to prove, except that humans don't back down, even when gravity betrays them. Final report filed under restricted access. Subject, Rourke, case status. Unofficial combat hero threat level. Unknown psychological evaluation. Will engage under extreme pressure, exhibits masochistic endurance, responds positively to escalation recommended. Do not challenge. Repeat, do not challenge. Rumor says a new quote's etched into the gravity chamber at Leven 6, burned into the steel. No one knows who did it, just 4 words. Make it 4 next.